Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and for this Reseller Friday I want to talk to you about stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. That's an old saying and it's very interesting visual. Imagine this person walking down the road and there's a few dollars on the street and they step over it. Why? Because they're grabbing for some pennies. So they're going for the little smaller thing instead of the bigger thing that's right in front of them. And many resellers are caught in this rut. I've seen people get in absolute, just complete time sucks, time wastes, where they are fighting with a customer over a return. Well, I said no returns, and the customer's saying, well, it was damaged, and it's a $20 item. And they're investing so much time trying to avoid that $20 loss, which realistically speaking, most shipping methods today have some sort of insurance involved. So they're probably not going to lose anything. They might lose the shipping or whatever, but it's just a part of doing business. You think these big box stores that have millions of customers don't get a lot of returns? Of course they do. And we as resellers probably get very limited amount of returns compared to them. A long time ago, it was kind of an epiphany for me. I was frustrated with somebody trying to return something, and I was thinking to myself, wait, what am I doing? This is a $15 item. I could be listing more items in the same time I'm wasting and fretting over whether I'm going to accept this return or not, because I had no returns at the time, many, many years ago. I had no returns on those items. That's when I switched over into the gear of just I have free returns on everything, including returns on things that are big, huge, gigantic items. I don't want returns, of course. Nobody does. But it opens my business up to new customers who they don't necessarily want to return something, but they do want the option. They want to see that you back the item. Sometimes it's not even about a return at all. They just want to see, does this seller actually back what they are selling? Because if you have no returns, it looks like, what are you trying to hide from me? I had a customer one time who I'd done no business with, but they just looked at my item, and the item was the same item they had purchased from other sellers, and they started sending me these messages about, don't scam me on this. I've been scammed so many times on it. And I explained to them, well, that's why I offer free returns. My items match the description perfectly. And if you don't like it for any reason, you can return it and I'll pay for the return. Because I'm not trying to get somebody forced into keeping an item they don't want. And if a customer is a problem customer, you just block them and move on. No big deal. But there's so many sellers fretting and fighting over the least amount of money when they could be using that same time listing more items or going out sourcing and finding better items that will sell faster and for more money. They are literally stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. And I've seen people do this in other areas of their reselling business where supplies come in. They're sitting over here trying to piece together large boxes, what people call Frankensteining a box. They're piecing together all these boxes to try to fit a big item into when they could have just bought a box, put it in there, and been done with it. Now, obviously, reusing boxes is perfectly fine. I reuse boxes. I get them all the time. I actually have a local business that just gives them to me every single day. And I do reuse boxes as needed because it saves money. But I'm always cognizant of the fact that I'm not going to try to save a few dollars and waste 30 minutes of my time making a box out of 4 large boxes because I'm trying to save $5. Obviously, we don't want to waste money, but your time should be more valuable than that $5. And if you took that same time wasted doing that because you're trying to save some money and invested it on listing more items, you're going to make way more than $5. It'll way more than cover that money you're quote unquote losing by not making the box out of a bunch of free boxes. I'll give you another example. I've seen people use these laser printers or inkjet printers, which is nothing wrong with that, it's perfectly fine. But they start getting to a level where they're printing a bunch of labels every day, and they're using these little full sheet letter sized labels where it prints on one side and then they have to turn it around and put it back in the printer so they can print the label on the other side. They're wasting so much time. Those labels aren't cheaper than the thermal labels. Just get a thermal label printer and be done with it. It's quick, and people make excuses and say, well, but somebody said it's not good because, those thermal labels can go bad. Look at every single shipping company on the planet today, including Amazon. They all use thermal labels. Every single one of them. Go to a FedEx store. What do they use? Thermal labels. Go to a UPS store. What do they use? Thermal labels. Go to the post office. What do they use? Thermal label. Everyone uses it. There's a reason for it. It's not bad. It's not, oh, it's so terrible. You need to waste all this time and effort printing on these little 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, these half labels, and switching it around. Your time is more valuable. First thing, that's not even the cheaper way to do it anyway. It is absolutely 100% not the cheapest way to do it. But forgetting the financial part of it, it's a waste of your time. You could be doing better things. The time you will save not doing that, not fiddling around with switching labels around and having to cut the label because it's too big for the item you're putting it on because you're using this big, huge half a sheet label. You can be getting more items listed, or you could be outsourcing during that time you'd be wasting on, if you're shipping 30 or 40 items in a day or more, you could instead invest that time in sourcing better, higher quality items. We have to be cognizant in our business that we are not stepping over dollars to pick up pennies, because that is the majority of people. Now, I understand when you're beginning, you don't have the funds. All you have is time. Then you might do some of these things just because there's no reason to buy a thermal label printer when you have one item a week that sells. Use whatever you have. Actually, you don't even need a printer at all. You could just use the QR codes that are generated by the various marketplaces and have the post office print the label for you, or FedEx or UPS or whatever. I'm not telling you to waste any money. Please understand that. But it gets to a certain point where the money you're saving or think you're saving, you perceive that you're saving, is costing you more than the time value that you have invested in those quote unquote money saving methods, where you're literally stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Your time is so much more valuable. And at some point, as you grow in your business, you need to have your time maximized for the most productivity possible. And a lot of these little cheap methods, these little ways of saving $1 or $2 here and there, are actually costing you way more than the $1 or $2 you're going to be saving. And you're literally caught in an endless rut of stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.